Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever the case may be. It's Urban Cowboy coming at you. It's been a few weeks since the last time I posted something, and I apologize for that. Not a great way to start off a new channel, right? Life. I think most of us can understand that. Life, family, work. It all gets in the way of stuff that we want to do. And not that it's a bad thing. Family comes first. You know, doing the professional thing and ensuring that my family is taken care of always comes first. My girls got sick shortly after I made the first video, so I had to take care of that. Being that I work from home, it definitely makes things a little more difficult. But then, I ended up getting sick, which usually happens when the girls get sick, and but it's all good. It comes with the territory. It's life. Um, Today's the first video was very long because it was the first one. Went over a lot of stuff. These subsequent videos won't be as long, and hopefully I can do a lot more of them. That's the intention. As stuff comes up, again, want to talk about life and work and how to manage it. Things that happen. And everything like that. So today's ultimately, like I said, the family was under the weather. We've been managing. Uh, wife is, I can't remember if my wife had already gone back to work in the first video that I made, but ultimately the wife is back to work. She's an electrician by trade, which is fantastic. Absolutely a big supporter of trades, of unions, um, and we're a team. That's what a marriage is all about. We're a team. We're strong together. We're stronger together, um, and it works out with our situation. I work from home. Uh, I'm a director of project management, so I get to majority of what I do can be done from my home office ultimately. But I still have to take trips to the office, which is 3 hours away. Which last week I ended up having to do go in for a sales summit, which was good. But I went in one day, so woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get to the office on time, and then didn't get back home until 11:15 at night. So it was definitely a long day, absolutely a long day. Um, and I was happy to do it. Got some FaceTime with the executive leadership. Got to get some FaceTime with the sales team, and it was good overall. Professionally, it was a good. And then we had a great dinner at a ranch, and it was fantastic. It was the food was amazing. The drinks obviously had some really good bourbon, very good. But you know, juggling work and life is absolutely, it's one of the challenges that keeps us going every day. Anyone out there who has a family, you understand what I'm talking about. Uh, it absolutely works for us that I work from home. I know my wife would absolutely prefer to be home all the time, and we'll get there. Ultimately, it's the progression, and one of the things that I would like to be able to provide is an unequivocal way for me to be the sole earner in the house, or at least help her get to a place where she can be home the majority of the time with our girls. Her work schedule right now is fine. She gets home before the girls get home. But usually, when the girls get home from school, that's when they go into crazy mode. So, my wife likes to say it's witching hour by the time the girls get home. So, but there's something with daughters and mothers, and I've asked other parents the same thing, and there's a unique relationship that happens between daughters and mothers. I don't understand it. Uh, my girls act completely differently when it's just me and them than they do when my wife is around. Um, I don't understand it. My father-in-law, God rest his soul, was awesome. And whenever our oldest would give my wife a hard time, he would just look over when he lived with us, and before he passed away, and he would just start laughing, and his comments would always be, "I remember that." Yeah, it's an interesting relationship. Interesting. My wife always says that her mom, God rest her soul, would always say, "You're gonna have one just like you." Well, it happened. So, uh, yeah, the work life is good. Personal life is good. Um, Probably we had some budget cuts, and unfortunately, I lost some team members. I've had to go through that more than a couple times, and it never gets any easier. And it's not that I want anyone to feel sorry for me. It's because we had to let go of team members I knew were good and were just learning, and but would have become a good a bigger part of the company had unfortunate circumstances happened. Um, Very unfortunate. The first my first big experience with budgeting and cuts was COVID. I ended up losing 23 people on my team during those budget cuts, and it was hard to say the least. Again, not for me. The experience of having to do that to another person, and it's business. I completely understand having to do that and affect a another person, their families, their household. It's tough to think about. Again, I'm not naive. I'm a business guy. I understand it, and in a lot of cases, and that especially with COVID being so unique an experience, uh, just something we had to go through. So that for anyone who's been on that other end of it, it should you know not that you should be happy, or not that in the moment be empathetic, but just know that there are people out there, your bosses or your boss's bosses, who absolutely do not like doing this. Um, I absolutely do not like having to be put in that position or to put others in that position. But at the end of the day, it's business, um, and it never gets any easier for anybody. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that are just all like, better them than me, kind of a thing, kind of mentality, and that's just the wrong mentality to bring into an office. But at the end of the day, if you're hiring, if there's someone that you're okay with just letting go, chances are the the morale of that office or company or whatever is probably not great. Uh, One of the things I look for when joining a company is, uh, the culture. How does everyone see each other? What's everyone's relationship? Do they go out and get a beer afterwards? Do they do fun stuff? Are they talking outside of the professional? One of the things I do, I have one-on-ones with my team members, and I like to, well, during those one-on-ones, I get a little bit into business, but at the end of the day, I want to know how they're doing. How's your family doing? If you have kids, how are they doing? How's your life outside of work? I want to know what's going on, and I truly do. Um, I'm a man who likes information, um, but I'm also a person who was raised a certain way to respect my fellow man, my fellow people. I treat my neighbors the same way. Uh, Ultimately, the way I think of the world is everyone has my respect until you lose it. I respect you as long as you. I just ask for the respect back. Now, I've come across plenty of people uh, throughout my life where, whether it be projection for what they're going through or whatever, but normally I can suss that out. Like, if you disrespect me, but if I know you're going through hard times, I may give you a second chance. Um, or I may dig into it and be all like, hey, I know that's, from what I understand, that's not you. Is there anything you want to talk about? I'm an open ear. Life is hard. Life is hard. And everybody goes through something. Everybody goes through something and maybe going through something, that right in that moment. Uh, Nobody will turn away an open ear, someone who doesn't judge. Growing up, the one of the things that I was always taught is the only thing that can judge another person is God. So I actively try to instill that. I don't judge anybody on how they live their life, on how they handle situations, on what they believe. Uh, you know, I have lots of friends and family that believe, say, let's just go, one of the big things right now is politics. My political views are all over the place. I at the end of the day, I'm stubborn, and I don't bend the knee to anybody. Uh, the way the political parties are run in today's society, or at least the way we as a people have allowed it to run, is bending the knee to the DNC or to the RNC or to the president in power. They work for us. I don't bend the knee to anybody. You may get my vote, but you better do something with it. We're in definitely a tense time, but ultimately where I was going with that is that I don't judge anybody. People can have their own opinions. It's one of the great things of our country. And as long as you're a good person, I I know a good person. I know good people. And as long as you're a good person, are willing to do things for others, then you're my brother. You're my sister. You know? And I love talking law and politics. I love it. It's fun for me, and yeah, it may get active, and discussions may. some people call it arguments. I don't consider it that way. It's all if I'm getting, if I'm digging in on your position, I am truly interested in what you have to say, in why you believe, because everybody has a different situation. There's no situation that's completely the same. Like I said in my first video, if you happen to watch that, I'm a gun owner. I believe in my right to own guns. Now, do I believe that just anybody should be able to pick up a grenade launcher or a rocket launcher or anything? There's got to be some kind of common sense with this stuff. As a veteran, I respect the power a weapon uh, has has the ability to take life. And if there's one thing you can never, ever, ever take away or reverse, is when you take a life. And it's one of those things that I'm teaching my daughters. I'll teach my daughters. I got my oldest a Henry youth rifle. Ultimately, the goal is to teach her the power of a weapon and how to respect it. That one of my conservative views. I believe that we have to be responsible with money as a government, as a people, and the people we put into power are put into Congress to make our representatives have to be able to take a look around and judge for themselves, but also, you know, uh, just because I believe something doesn't mean that you give me a mandate to vote a certain way without being responsible for or accountable for the way I vote. If I'm your representative, like if I have time, these Congress people shouldn't be spending all their time in Washington. If I have time, I'll they should be holding town halls and going door to door and meeting the people and being all like, look, this issue is coming up and I truly want to know how you think of it, because this is the way I feel, but I want to know how you feel because I represent you. If I have to vote against the way I feel, I'm your representative, and that's part of the job. The type of government we've gotten into, or not type of government, the type of mentality we've allowed to happen is we have these congressmen, presidents, whatever, feel like because they got voted into office, they are given a mandate to vote however they want. So if they're bending the knee to the RNC, bending the knee to the president, bending the knee to the DNC, whoever the group may be, they're not bending the knee to the people, and that's a big problem for me. Fiscal we need to be fiscally conservative. We need to respect our rights to own guns, but then within common sense. Because, I think we can all agree not everybody should have guns. As a veteran, I was taught and I learned to respect a weapon. And I think most, if not all, veterans feel the same way as far as respecting guns, respecting the weapon. And I hope that as veterans, we all feel that responsibility to pass that knowledge and that feeling down to family, friends. I have friends that aren't comfortable around guns. And really, I just want to take them all out to a gun range and put one in their hand and teach them how to use it, how to respect it. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough time. You know, part of my social beliefs is that I don't think it's out of line to say there are people out there that don't have the mental capacity or ability or are not in the right headspace, at least in the moment, to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps and need help. I'm not a complete religious fanatic, I should say, born and raised Catholic. But one thing I absolutely take into my day to day life is, is is wanting to help my fellow man. I think everybody should have that sense of community where we're in a better position as a people overall if we have the mindset that we have to help people. And yeah, absolutely, we should absolutely help our own people first. But if we have the capabilities to help others in other parts of the world, and again, this is just my beliefs. I've been overseas. I've been in 23 different countries. Uh, if we have that ability to help someone else, we should. It's, it's got to be done within laws, of course. Congress should be approving or rejecting this stuff. But at the end of the day, if we're able to help a people, we should be doing that. Now, I won't get too far in the weeds on it, but Ukraine specifically, and there's stuff that's happening all over the world, but Ukraine specifically, the way I see it is Ukraine, with the way the people of Ukraine have held off a world power from taking over their country for 3 years, that's a country I want on my side. That is, those are people that I want on my side. And we got to think to the future on this stuff. You help out those people, they're going to be in your corner when, if something were to pop off later, or if you need help later. I there the costs have been absolutely, it would have been cheaper for us to throw or to develop with NATO a plan to put troops in Ukraine and push the Russian military back and set up peacekeeping instead of just throwing money and weapons, which, kudos, I think, at a certain point you have to have the people of that country, region, or whatever prove that they're capable of maintaining freedom, their own freedom. After 3 years of fighting a major world power, they've proven that. And I think at this point, if we really wanted to end it, we get with our allies in Europe. It's not like we as the United States have to provide everything. Get with our allies in Europe and set up peacekeeping. I will say though that I have no problem with the Russian people. It's not the Russian people that invaded Ukraine. I have a problem with their leader. He is a KGB trained leader with an imperialistic mentality because he was trained to think that way. The Soviet Union fell before he really got an opportunity to use those skills. So he's been honing them. He's been using them. The Russian people are amazing people. Amazing. Very friendly, are willing to help and pick up others. Just for some reason, they allow this leader to, maybe it's fear, maybe I don't know. But yeah, I think there's a place in the world for the Russian people. And I I would like to think that the majority of the Russian people don't agree with the way their country is being ran, but there's so much money and power concentrated with just a few people. And I think we're experiencing some of that here in the United States right now. It doesn't last long. It won't last long, especially here in the United States. Those those people with those billionaires that think they're untouchable, I think they're, not that I promote it or condone it, but they're going to learn real quick that in the gist of things, at the end of the day, Americans don't bend the knee to anybody. And billionaires, people who have more money than they would be able to spend, that are actively trying to get more and take it away from the average American. It may work for a little bit, but what good is getting all that money and all that wealth at the expense of others? And at the end of the day, it may not be a full-on blown revolution as we know it in history, but I'll tell you what, people will rise up. And I'm not talking politicians. I'm talking people that are forced into a corner, don't have anything left because government officials, along with billionaires, took it away. And those are the most dangerous people out there. So, yeah, we're going through a rough patch right now. But if these people who are doing this think they're just going to get away with it scot-free, you may for a little while. But at some point, the anger rises, and yeah, the knees stop bending. And yeah. But yeah, I mean, well, we'll get away from that stuff for a little bit. Um, a lot's been happening. Our president is going on with a joint session of Congress tonight. I'll be tuning in. I don't expect to hear a lot of truth out of his mouth, because at the end of the day, we're down here, us average Americans. We're down here. We're feeling the pain, the costs of living. Just everyone brings up the eggs thing, yeah, and that's, I guess, a good tell. But yeah, we'll see what he has to say. And the Democrats have a person that's going to rebut, or do a rebuttal speech or anything. At the end of yeah, go ahead, but it's all show. It's a show. Show me you're going to do something on both sides. Republicans are getting hammered in their town halls, and they just stop doing them because the people are upset. Of course they are. What do you think's going to happen when you just disappear? I mean, if you're looking to keep your seat, chances are you're going to lose it, hopefully, if you stop talking to the people that represent you. It's going to be an interesting. I mean, we're 6 weeks into the new administration. I don't believe. Congress has to be the seat of power. Has to be. When you have when you are a representative of a community, of a region, of a state, or whatever, a district, and you can't have an honest conversation with your people, you should no longer be that representative. When you can't meet with your people, if they're upset and they're yelling at you, you need to take it in.